Welcome to Basic Brewing Video. I'm James Spencer.
I'm Steve Wilkes.
We're going to get into an area that I don't know much about, and that is cocktails and mixed drinks. Now, you're kind of a mix master here.
Well, either that or a Cuisinart. I'm not sure. But
the Cuisinart comes later.
That's right. But I do like a good martini, and if you have a martini, you have to have vermouth. So I started making my own vermouth some time ago, and it's remarkably easy. I started with a white wine that I made myself.
Out of a kit?
Out of a kit, which I got from Desiree and Dave.
Of High Gravity and Tulsa.
Right. That's right.
It's the sponsors of our audio podcast.
It's a lightly oaked Chardonnay. At least we should
Should we taste it? Should we taste it first?
Yes. So this is the wine that I made the vermouth from. Oh, yeah. Very nice.
That's tasty.
Very nice. It's a Chardonnay Semillon. I can't pronounce the grape, but that's what it is. Mix.
That's very
Let's
nice.
see how we make this vermouth.
So you're going to take the vermouth, or you're going to take the wine.
The wine.
You're going to add some stuff to it.
I'm going to infuse it with herbs, and I'm going to fortify it with brandy. All right, so let me go over the herbs that we'll infuse our white wine with, and then we'll make the vermouth. So here we go. My vermouth will be infused with vanilla bean, with lavender, and I'll get into the amounts later. Vanilla bean, lavender, German chamomile, dried orange peel. This is the same kind of orange peel that you'd use to brew a Belgian beer with, for instance. This is dandelion root, dried dandelion root, wormwood, and no, it won't make you hallucinate. These are rose hips, or rose petals, I should say. A stick of cinnamon. This is Mexican cinnamon. This is dried lemon peel, so we'll have orange peel and lemon peel that's dried. Cardamom. This is called pot marigold, or calendra, I think is how you pronounce it. It's just the petals, excuse me, the petals of a marigold plant, and it's used in Mediterranean cooking. It's used to color butter. It's really nice. You can make tea with it. You can make an ice cream with it. And finally, with some sage from my garden that's been dried. So these are the herbs that we'll use to make the wine. And now the process. So I've gone ahead and pre-measured out the amounts that we need for this fifth of wine, and I'm just going to make a fifth. Now, the last time I made vermouth, I made a gallon of vermouth. So I would obviously use larger quantities of all these things. Because I'm making a fifth, I'm just using a pinch of this and a pinch of that, more or less with the strong herbs like sage, dandelion root, and wormwood. Those are very strong, and lavender. They have very strong flavors. So you want to be careful with those. On the other hand, the rose petals, the chamomile, the marigold petals, they're very light in flavor. They won't dominate in and of themselves, so you can be a little more free with them. And that's the measurement. So I didn't worry too much about exactly how much of this or that. Let's face it, I'm a cook. I like to experiment, and so I'm looking for a nice blend of flavors. I'm not looking for any particular flavor to stand out too much. And you know, we might make this and go, this is perfect. And then again, we might say, oh, gee, I wish I had a little more cardamom in it or something like that. But we'll see, and I'm sure it'll be good, whatever. So here we go. Now this is the process of making this. So this is a white wine that I made. It's a Chardonnay, very lightly oaked. And that's one of the things you want to remember when you make this, is that you don't want to use a heavily oaked wine, whether you're making a red sweet vermouth or you're making, in this case, a dry white vermouth. You don't want something that's heavily oaked. The oak will just overwhelm everything. So be careful of that. So let's open this guy up. And we'll set a little bit of this aside for us to sip on.
Yay.
Yay. So I bottled this about 6 or 8 weeks ago. And I haven't actually even had any of it since then. So it'll be fun to see how the wine itself is. I love that.
Happy New Year.
Happy something or other. So now this is where it can get a little confusing. I'll try to keep it really simple. What we're going to do is we're going to take 8 ounces of wine, so 1 cup. We'll take a cup of the white wine, we'll put it into a saucepan. We'll take another cup of wine. Normally I wouldn't measure even this carefully with something like this, but we're going to save some of this to sip on. So I'm going to give you a little bit. I'm going to give me a little bit because I just can't stand to waste it. So that'll be for later.
And a little on the ground.
A little on the ground. That's the angel's share. Because now what we've done, we've removed 2 cups of wine from this 5th. We're going to put 1 cup back in after we infuse it with the herbs, and then we'll fortify it with brandy. So I've got a half pint of brandy, a cup of wine, and that'll go back into this after we infuse the herbs. So we'll set that off to the side. After we've infused the herbs and let them steep for a while, we're basically making tea. We're going to filter that. I've got a fine mesh coffee filter, a little single serving coffee draining thing. I'm going to drain it into this cup. Then we're going to take it from the cup. We're going to put it back into the bottle. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
All right. So let's just do this. Let's do this thing. So I'm going to bring this up to a boil. One of the things I do want to point out is that there are lots of ways to make this. There are lots of different recipes on the internet that you can find. You know, Gourmet Magazine has them. Bars have them. Other cooking sites have them. Making vermouth is not terribly hard, but it's something that you just don't think about. And I also want to dispel the myth that vermouth shouldn't be tasted. Vermouth is really nice if it's done right. So there's no particular order to this. I'm just going to put all those herbs in. And we're going to bring that up to a simmer. One of the things that I noticed when I first started making vermouth was that a lot of recipes call for you to boil all the wine. So you take all the wine and you boil it with the herbs. And I thought, I didn't like that because, I don't want to boil off all those light volatile oils. So, or, the flavors that you get, not oils, but I didn't want to boil all that away. So I'm just going to let this infuse for a few minutes and then we'll strain it and go from there. So we've infused the white wine with the herbs, and now we're going to make the vermouth, and this is so simple. So the first thing I'm going to do is start with my brandy. I like to use brandy. Some recipes call for using sherry. Some call for a combination of brandy and sherry. I've seen some recipes where you just use Everclear or just straight ahead, just straight vodka. The idea is that you're fortifying, you're upping the alcohol content of this wine. But you don't want to overpower it. I wouldn't want to put something like bourbon or scotch in there. Might really get you nice and drunk. But I don't think it would, again, it would overpower. So we're going to add our brandy. I like using this half pint method because it's easy. I don't have to measure anything. There. So that's that part. Save that for later. And now we'll drain the liquid back out of our herb mixture here. And just like any good cook, I want all the goodness.
So how long was that steeping?
Oh yeah, that was steeping about maybe 10 minutes. So I brought it up to a simmer. I took it off the heat. I let it steep for about 10 minutes. Again, there's lots of different recipes for this. I've seen recipes where you should leave it overnight. But I like the idea of keeping as much of those kind of delicate flavors and delicate aromatics as possible. And this makes sense to me as a brewer. So now I'm going to add back in this tea that I made.
Ooh, that smells good.
Yeah. And then I'm going to top it back up with some of this white wine that we saved.
That That's your glass, right?
This is my glass, that's right. Okay. Now, all I've got to do is seal that back up. Now, I could just cork it. Hang on. This might be a cutting spot. Sorry.
Steve's junk drawer.
Yeah. So, I want this to do its thing for a minute. This is pretty handy. Look at this. Okay, I just put a seal on that. I'm going to mix it all up really nice. And that is fresh vermouth. Brand new. So that's really pretty good stuff, right?
That's a good wine. We're still on
Nice
the wine.
We're still on the wine.
So
But now,
let's see if you ruined it.
that's right. Let's see how bad I screwed this up. So now we're going to move on. So we started with this white wine, and we're going to try it as an aperitif to see how we like it in general. So we'll just do a couple of ice cubes. And this is a nice way to drink vermouth. Everybody, you know, James Bond and, you know, everybody kind of knocked vermouth. It's supposed to be you wave the cork over it. That's nonsense. Enjoy the vermouth.
Now this is the stuff that you just made.
Just made it. I'm going to do a couple of ice cubes, and we'll do a little bit of the vermouth, and we'll see what we think.
Cheers.
Cheers. That's pretty good.
Oh,
Isn't that good?
boy, that's got a lot of layers in it.
That's
That's
right.
I like the stuff that where you take a sip and then you get a little bit on the front of the tongue.
Oh,
you get a
my.
little bit, yeah,
That's
it's a gift
very
that keeps
good.
on giving.
It's true. So with this, we're going to make a martini.
So we could stop right here,
We can stop right here, but wait.
but wait, there's more.
There's more. So, in order to really, man, that is really good.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is make vodka martinis, and I decided to make vodka martinis because I wanted to show off the vermouth.
Okay.
Okay. So, and I actually prefer gin personally, but
But gin has botanicals as well.
it has its own flavoring, and I don't want to confuse the issue.
Okay.
So we're going to do a few ice cubes.
I feel like it should be helping out somehow. Man. Got idle hands here.
Do you have a bottle of seltzer water you could spray? You could turn it into a Three Stooges bit.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, so we'll do some ice cubes.
All right.
We're going to make 2 martinis. Now, this is my recipe for a martini, so pay attention out there. I do 2 shots of either gin or vodka per martini. That's a big shot.
Goodness gracious.
That's a full shot. Okay, so because I'm making 2 martinis here, right? So
Right.
there's 4 shots. And then I do a half shot of vermouth per drink. So I guess I could have just done 1 shot, right? But you know, that'd be too simple. Okay. Now, sometimes I really like vermouth, and I'll do a whole shot of vermouth, so 2 and 1. But the traditional recipe for a martini is 4 parts of white liquor and 1 part of vermouth. That is the traditional, and that's what we just did.
Okay.
So we're going to stir that up.
Now this is stirred, not shaken.
Yes. Although, you know,
Is that Lee and Perrin's?
I don't know. This,
Worcestershire?
That's Worcestershire. That's orange bitters. So we'll do this.
West Indian orange bitters.
We'll garnish with an olive. Olive.
All he needs an unfiltered Lucky Strike.
Well, that's, yeah. And we'll
Don't do that at home, kids.
Yeah. So here's our vodka
Stick with the
martinis.
hard alcohol.
Yeah.
Stay away from cigarettes.
Stay away from cigarettes. You've also got a flaming problem, too, if I'm involved. Here's our
All right.
martini. This is our gin martini made with our homemade vermouth from our wine kit from Dave and Desiree. Life is good.
Oh my.
If I'm lying, I'm dying. That is good.
Wow. Wow.
I'm telling you.
That's tasty stuff.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not into, into the cocktails. Oh my goodness. Well, how easy was that?
It's very easy.
I mean, I've been here for like
This
An
whole
hour.
process took about an hour
Yeah.
altogether.
And we're having martinis with homemade vermouth,
Yes.
made of homemade wine.
Yeah, the whole thing.
So could you do it with red wine?
You could, although you'd make a sweet vermouth, and you'd move on to something called a Manhattan or a Rob Roy, and who knows, maybe we'll enjoy a Manhattan at some point today.
The day is young.
The day is young.
All right.
Well, I'm enjoying all these things. I'm going to have another little sip of this.
Yeah. Be a two-fisted drinker.
Oh
here.
my God. An aperitif with the vermouth, a vodka martini. I'll have to explore the gin version of this later this evening.
Oh my.
So good.
So good.
Cheers.
All right. Try it. Come up with your own recipe and send it to us.
That's right. Yeah.
Maybe we'll try that. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Happy brewing.
Come and visit us on the web. At basicbrewing.com, you can find archive lists of both our audio and video podcasts on homebrewing. You can also find our DVDs, Extract Brewing and Partial Mashing, Stepping into All Grain, Low-Tech Lagering and Decoction Mashing, Introduction to Wine Kits, and our Basic Brewing Brewer's Logbook, where you can track and log up to 50 batches of beer. Drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. Write to James at basicbrewing.com, Steve at basicbrewing.com, or just use the contact form on basicbrewing.com.
Wow.
That is really good.
That's tasty.